Welcome to the Explainer. You know that feeling, right? Your company announces some big new initiative, and then a few months later, it just fizzles out. Well, today, we're going to dig into the science of why that happens, and we'll look at a blueprint for making change actually work. I mean, it's a story we've all seen or been a part of. A company announces this bold new direction, a new strategy, a big tech upgrade, and then, a year goes by and not much has really changed. So let's just dive right into that core problem. Because the hard truth is, most of these big efforts are kind of doomed from the start. So the research we're looking at today kicks off with a number that's, well, it's pretty staggering. 70%. Yep, study after study shows that 7 out of every 10 major change initiatives just don't meet their goals. That is a huge, persistent problem for companies all over the world. And listen, this isn't just some abstract number on a page. It has massive real-world consequences. The study we're looking at brings up a classic cautionary tale, Nokia. Remember them? They were the absolute kings of mobile phones, but they failed to adapt to the smartphone revolution, and they went from being the market leader to getting sold off. That's the real cost of failed change. Okay, so how do you make sure your organization doesn't become the next Nokia? Well, a new study offers some really powerful, evidence-based answers, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into right now. So, the insights we're talking about today come directly from this paper, published in 2024 in the journal Sustainability. What the researchers wanted to know was, how does getting your employees involved actually impact change? And they looked at industries that are always changing. The research was conducted by a team of 4 scholars from the Wuhan University of Technology and Dongbei University of Finance and Economics: Manhasea Aubry Patrick Ba, Zeho Sun, Uzapi Honge, and Akaje Jean-Roland Ejuku. So how'd they get their answers? Well, they went out and surveyed 412 employees in Côte d'Ivoire, and they focused on 2 really key sectors that are constantly in flux: telecommunications and refineries. After they got all that data, they used some pretty robust statistical modeling to crunch the numbers and find out what really works. Okay, let's get into the good stuff. The study's first huge finding revolves around one central idea: employee involvement. Seriously, the researchers found that this is the absolute foundation for successful change. Now, this diagram you're seeing, this is basically the entire model the researchers built. It's the blueprint. If you look over on the left, you'll see 3 core components. These are the key ingredients that make up what they call employee involvement. So, employee involvement isn't just some fuzzy corporate buzzword. The study gets really specific and breaks it down into 3 things. First, you've got participation. That's about actually letting employees have a real voice in decisions. Then there's empowerment, giving people the autonomy and the authority to get things done. And finally, teamwork, fostering real collaboration instead of just a top-down approach. And here's the thing, the data completely backed this up. The study found that all 3 of these factors, participation, empowerment, and teamwork, are positively and really significantly related to whether or not a change initiative succeeds. It's not a guess, it's what the numbers showed. But hold on, there's another piece to this puzzle. Employee involvement is super powerful, for sure, but the research found that something else is needed to really amplify its effect. Think of it like a catalyst. So what is it? So we're looking at that same model again, but this time, I want you to focus on that box right in the middle: humble leadership. This, according to the study, is the critical link. It's what connects all that great employee involvement to actually getting the change done successfully. Okay, so what do they mean by humble leadership? Well, it's not about being timid or a pushover. It's a style where leaders are confident enough to seek feedback, to admit they don't know everything, and to really acknowledge the skills of their team. It's all about being open to learning, and that is what fosters the trust and psychological safety you absolutely need for change to happen. And if you look at the stats from the study, it's crystal clear. Every single hypothesis they tested was supported. Employee involvement boosts humble leadership boosts successful change, and employee involvement also directly boosts successful change. It all fits together perfectly. It's like a complete, validated system. All right, so the big takeaway so far is that this combination of employee involvement and humble leadership is the key. But knowing that is one thing. How do you actually put it into practice? Well, the great thing is the authors didn't just stop with the theory. They actually built a roadmap. And here it is. The researchers took all their findings and boiled them down into this practical flowchart. It's a literal step-by-step guide for any leader who's trying to manage change effectively.
Okay, let's break it down. Phase 1 is diagnose and mobilize. First step, you've got to figure out exactly why this change is needed, what's driving it. Then you form what they call a change task force. And the key here is it has to include management, HR, and representatives for the employees. They have to be in the room from day one.
Then you move into phase 2, plan and communicate. This is where you do the heavy lifting, brainstorming, setting really clear objectives, both for the short term and the long term, and you develop a comprehensive communication plan so everyone is in the loop. You have to map out the whole journey and think about the outcomes.
And finally, phase 3 is implement and anchor. You actually roll out the change, but look closely at the diagram. It's not a straight line. You have to assess needs, provide training, and then check in. If it's working, you anchor it by celebrating the wins and sharing what's working. And if it fails, you diagnose what went wrong and you learn from it. It's a continuous loop.
You know, this quote from the paper really sums it all up beautifully. Humble leadership plays a crucial role in facilitating organizational change by fostering an atmosphere of trust and openness. And that's it, right there. It's not just about the strategy. It's about creating the right human environment for that strategy to succeed.
So, what does this all mean for you? Well, it leaves us with a really important question. We know that just ordering change from the top down doesn't work. So based on all this evidence, what's the first small step you could take to really involve your team in an upcoming change? Thanks for joining us for The Explainer.